Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here. Brand new Cabral House Call coming in today, episode 2269. If you'd like to read along with the questions from the community that I'll be answering, feel free. Right at stephencabral.com/2269. Once again, thank you so much for your support, for your reviews of the show, for your likes, your subscribes. Really do appreciate it. So instead of me chit-chatting like I do all week long, why don't we answer some questions? Let's get right into it. The first question today is from Summer. And usually, my team does an amazing job always. Again, we've got so many people working behind the scenes to make the machine work. And again, I want to give a little shout out to them. They do such a great job. Just remember that all of the customer service questions, please don't leave them at stephencabral.com/askcabral. These do not get seen because I don't get to see these questions for about 6 to 8 weeks after they come in. This one, though, my team left a note when I'm opening up my document that says we are not able to answer vaccine-based questions. That is a lightning rod that may get us banned. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to talk about that. That's called censorship. And yes, we are very much censored. And so, unfortunately, it's a topic that I just can't talk about. You've heard me talk about it on previous shows. You're welcome to look it up. And, but what I can do from this first and second question from Summer is to say that she wrote that in the case of adoption, the majority of infants in the system are born addicted to drugs and alcohol, and she's looking to adopt an infant. What is the best way to do if they are also going to be getting vaccines and they have different addictions to help process all of these things as quickly as possible? And again, not saying anything good, bad, indifferent. Well, let's see if we can help. So the thing is, what I want you to know is that all of the protocols that we are recommending are always from 3 years old and up. Because what we want for at least the first 2 years of life is that child to be getting as much great nutrition from their mother. And of course, that would be with breastfeeding. But of course, not every woman's able to do that, and certainly not if you are adopting. But there are different ways. There are, I don't know the proper terminology anymore, so again, please forgive me. But there are banks that you can go and actually get breast milk from women that are still pumping, or they are just helping other women out. So just keep in mind that that's one of the best things that you can do. But there's also all natural formulas that you're able to make. I am not able to give you supplement recommendations though, right? The only thing that maybe you'd want to look into is one of the Weston Price-based formulas. That's the Weston Price Foundation or Weston Price Institute, where they add in a little bit of cod liver oil. And it's just might be something that you look into. Again, I'm not giving you any medical-based advice, medical treatment plans, or medical cures for any of the questions here today, but I wanted to be able to be of some help. So again, as an infant, we don't want to be loading them up with a lot of herbs or even too many vitamins or minerals. They want to get that from a lot of their, of course, if they were nursing, from nursing, and the mother would take them in, or from a good quality natural formula as well. All right, Summer, apologies. I wish I could do more, but the powers that be says that I cannot be. That's basically it. All right, Even is up next. Is H. pylori bad for you if left untreated? I don't have any symptoms, but tested for it on a stool test, so I don't want to spend all this money to treat it if it doesn't matter. Thank you. All right, lots of shows on H. pylori. It does matter. It absolutely does matter. And you want to treat it with your medical doctor or work on rebalancing the stomach and gut in other natural-based ways. That choice is yours. please do check out my previous shows on that. I have a whole gut-based course on literally how to rebalance your entire gut. That's at StephenCabral.com/courses. And then I have, I would say hundreds of free podcasts on the digestive system. And that's at StephenCabral.com/podcasts. And you may also want to look something up called the CBO protocol with mastic gum. All right. So that's my recommendation again. But here's the thing. Really, you should be working with an integrative health practitioner or naturopathic doctor for your health, especially for serious-based things such as this. Again, they're going to give you a particular protocol and plan based on what they saw in the lab. So don't run a stool test with a company if it doesn't come with a protocol. I mean, that's my highest recommendation for sure. All right. Thank you, Even. Kenzie's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. I have Gilbert's syndrome, and I typically have no symptoms from it. I'm a wine sales rep, and I do love wine, so sometimes my job requires to drink a little. I try to limit it, but when I do, I am pretty hungover. How do I support my liver? When I do, I heard milk thistle is bad for Gilbert's. Well, this is interesting because I had someone who's a wine rep. I don't know if it was you, Kenzie, right in just a few weeks back. What I want to share with you is this, that for many people, as long as you're on a healthy diet, Gilbert's and too much bilirubin building up doesn't typically become an issue. That's the good news. The bad news is that it can be an issue if things don't go well. So here's the thing. Alcohol and Gilbert's syndrome doesn't really go well together. They do not match up well. And you're a wine sales rep, so that's the conundrum. But what I would say is this. You can support your liver with phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification-based nutrients. So I have a free detox course. I would love for you to check it out. It's literally completely free. There's nothing to buy. And it's at StephenCabral.com/courses. Check it out. It's completely free. That'll go in depth. And the next part is that, there's back and forth research on milk thistle, it's called silymarin, as well as burdock root and turkey tail and a bunch of others for the liver. I use herbs sparingly. So meaning like I use them all the time, but it's always for a specific based protocol. And then on a daily basis, what am I doing for anyone where I'm trying to support their liver? Fruits and vegetables, right? If you want to go more veggies than fruit, that's okay. Brightly colored antioxidants. I'm eating foods higher in B vitamins. I'm also using something called an activated B complex with the daily nutritional support and omega-3s, the daily omega-3 support, because I want to support phase 1 and phase 2 of the liver. And then if you decide to use additional herbs, well, then you can absolutely do that. And that would support you. But again, even just more fiber, a potential binder for when you are drinking, the daily nutritional support, the activated B vitamin, B complex. That's going to be a pretty powerful combination right there. And then lots of water, lots of fiber. All that's going to be helpful. So, and you'll eat that and you'll do all that before going out and consuming that alcohol. But again, this is not a medical treatment plan for Gilbert's. It's just to overall support the liver. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Amy is up next. It says, thank you for all of your work in sharing this information, Dr. Brawl. My son is 7.5 years old and has suffered from allergy-induced asthma for the last 6 years. We thought he was doing much better than last October. He was hospitalized for 3 days due to an asthma attack. Less than 3 months later, he ended up with pneumonia, and not to mention all the viruses he's had in between. Of course, the allergist recommended a slew of medications. We've done a food sensitivity test and removed those items, including dairy and gluten. Met with a holistic nutritionist that did a stool test. He has gut dysbiosis and H. pylori. He's currently on a supplement regimen to help with those issues, but doesn't seem to be improving. We have an air doctor, water filter, natural cleaning, eat organic, grass-fed. All right, so I'm happy to help you. So I have a lot of experience in this area because you're talking to somebody who had debilitating allergies. Even when I got well from Addison's and type 2 diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis and POTS and all these issues, I still had allergies. That was the bummer with me. I was better, but the allergies got better, yes, but I still had bad allergies in April. Every single April in New England. Trees are blooming. It's beautiful outside. I'd walk outside. Within 20 minutes, my eyes would be bright red. I'm not talking about red. I'm talking about bright red, tearing, itchy. It was like I got pepper spray in my eyes. It was so terrible. It was awful. And so here's the thing. Again, all I can tell you is what I know works. That's it. 7.5 years old, you're working with another practitioner, keep working with them. If it doesn't work with an IHP level 2, use the children's CBO protocol, the gut healing saline, potentially products like alkalizing vitamin C and Hispro. Like, let us show you, again, what we've been doing now for over 20 years to help people, because, of course, especially children, 7.5 years old. I was there. I understand that. I was 7.5 years old. I was getting allergy shots. I was on Benadryl and Sudafed and Claritin D. It was miserable, right? So again, I totally know what you're going through. I ended up figuring out that my allergies weren't necessarily just histamine induced. They were leukotriene induced. That means for me, not everyone, but for me, taking in foods higher in arachidonic acid, which is polyunsaturated fats and some saturated fats. I know that I'm not supposed to say that, but it's still the truth. And so I'm trying to help other people. Those can lead to what's called inflammatory prostaglandins. And for me, I have a very low threshold for leukotrienes, which means, because I have mastocytosis, had mastocytosis, that I am easily prone to mast cells. So hopefully that's helpful. That's the way to at least get started, and then keep emptying that rain barrel. So if you haven't read The Rain Barrel Effect yet, let's do it. Yes, a child cannot do a functional medicine detox, but that book is not just about functional medicine detox. That book is the entire de-stress protocol: diet, exercise, stress reduction, tox removal, rest, emotional balance, scientifically backed supplements, and a success mindset. You can do it. All right, let's see. Greg is up next. Greg says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. I love fruit and sometimes enjoy the crunchiness and convenience of freeze-dried fruit. No additives. Fruit is the only ingredient. What are your thoughts? How does it compare to fresh or frozen?" All right, so I have a podcast that I would love you to check out called just that, basically. Fresh, frozen, what's best? And if you can't find it at stephencabral.com/podcasts, ask the amazing Michelle inside of cabralsupportgroup.com. She can find any podcast you need. So definitely check that out. You'll hear about all the different benefits in terms of enzymes, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that I can't do justice in a 2-minute reply. But what I can share with you is this. Freeze-dried is different than dried fruit, but both are much easier to consume. So what I mean by that is that you probably wouldn't eat more than like an apple, right? Like I enjoy an apple a day. I'm an apple a day kind of guy, most days of the week, at least 5. So here's the thing though. I probably wouldn't eat 3 apples. I'm good after 1 apple. I really am. I'm like, that was a good apple, and that's it. But if you're eating freeze-dried apples, no doubt in my mind, you could eat 2 or 3 freeze-dried apples. So you just have to be careful. Dried fruit and freeze-dried fruit is just way too easy to over-consume that you wouldn't do in nature. All right, but if you keep that in mind and you portion it out, you're good to go. All right, and the last question of the day is from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, "Hi, I first want to thank you for all that you do. Providing valuable information for free is very altruistic and appreciated by all of your listeners." Thank you, Anonymous. Appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who has all these kind words to say. I do appreciate them. Do you have any recommendations for seasonal allergy support for dogs? My dog gets hot spots for a cluster of weeks, 1 to 3 times a year, and I want to be able to support his gut health, suspected histamine response during those times. What are your thoughts on Ayurvedic herb neem? I'm a Kapha Pitta, pretty evenly split, and it was recommended to me by a practitioner and it has helped me greatly, especially when Pitta is aggravated. I was just curious to your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on vegan meat alternatives? For example, Benevolent. Are there any good brands you know that you would recommend on eating occasion? Rather than having actual processed meat? Sorry if there's too many questions. Oh, no, they're just 2 wildly different questions. That's all. All right, so let's go over dog supplements first. All right. So many dogs do have allergy-based issues, and it's interesting because a lot of times like most of the time, it does go back to their gut because dogs shouldn't have allergies. That's not a normal thing. So it's actually really important to figure out what's going on with their gut. They actually do stool testing for dogs. We don't do that currently. Maybe in the future we will. I'd love to be able to help. I mean, I love dogs, so I'd love to be able to help at least dogs, but we don't do that, and there's no plans to. But you do want to look into that. You want to look into their overall gut health, especially if they were on antibiotics, because yes, dogs go on antibiotics as well. That could throw off their gut. So potentially a good probiotic for a dog could be really, really helpful. Now, herbs, many herbs are fantastic for dogs, but you just want to type that herb in and see if it is contraindicated for dogs, because sometimes it can greatly affect their liver or their kidneys. And so you have to be really careful with that. I've never used neem for dogs, and I haven't used it really for allergies as well. For allergies, I typically use quercetin. I used Perilla, I use Butterbur, I use vitamin C, and a bunch of others. So those are in our Hist Pro product. We'll be adding even more into our Hist Pro product in the future. And so that's what I use. And so that's obviously my recommendation, but you have to check with a holistic vet. That's what I would do to see if it's what's best for them. Now, in terms of, we'll call them like fake meats, I am not a fake meat guy. If you are looking to eat a vegan-based diet, which I had done for many, many months, many, many times, you want to eat clean vegan-based food, which, by the way, my entire diet is essentially a plant-based diet, except at night I have chicken or fish, and then I have eggs, like 2 eggs once a week. So that's my diet. I eat some animal or fish-based protein once a day. The rest of the diet is plant-based, and that's how it works for me. I'm not saying it works for you, but I am very skeptical. I did a podcast, if you want to check it out, on meat alternatives. So just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, or excuse me, or again, ask inside of cabralsupportgroup.com. So I went over the ingredients inside of these things. I mean, these are lab created. They put them out now for animals. The animals won't even eat them. I'd be really careful with these meat alternatives. They're made in a lab. They're just, I'd be really careful. I'm fine with a black bean burger, totally fine with that. But again, you're making a black bean burger out of black beans. So just be careful with the lab created meat. I can't recommend it. And I would rather you just have healthy vegan based alternatives. So that is that. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll be answering more of your questions tomorrow. Stay tuned. Take care. Have an amazing rest of the weekend. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.